right, welcome back from spring break. If you are watching this before your spring break and getting a sneak preview, that's fine too. I'm hoping you're enjoying a few moments of restfulness, though. It's always crazy how fast those break weeks go, right? Something we never really outgrow, feeling like the breaks are the short things. Okay, let's look at the syllabus real quick and kind of get our feet wet and reacclimated to what's going on. If you remember last week, we started, or the week before spring break, we started looking at some just kind of, or we kind of backtracked and looked at some grammar and APA type stuff because I didn't want to get us started into this next paper and then take a week long break. So now we're looking at, if you want to look at these weeks 9 and 10 together, we're here right now. But week 9 is setting us up for what we're going to call the illustration essay. If you're worried about your art skills, don't worry, I don't have any either. This is not about drawing, obviously. This is about illustrating out or explaining out with details and examples. Those of you who've been kind of holding back those personal references, you can pull out the stops. Those of you who don't really love using personal examples, you want to start collecting a list of ideas from the things you read, what you watch on television, the movies you've seen, and experiences you've heard of, because you don't always have to use your own personal life as illustrative material. But this essay is going to be laden with illustrative material to kind of demonstrate the kind of writing that we're talking about. This week, the authors Hyatt, Lakoff, Tan, Hentoff, Brunvan, Tannen, and Sinha all are master crafters at using illustration. So you'll notice in their writing a lot of illustrative or explanation material that kind of plays out their point. As you read their material and get ready for your discussion board this week, please recognize that although a discussion board is just going to ask you to respond to 3 individual essays, eventually what I want you to be looking for is the way that 2 arguments from 2 different authors could possibly intersect or be synthesized into a joint argument. They might directly contradict one another, or you might have an original argument that they either support or negate. But whatever you do, you're going to use 2 sources this time. You can use the original author's illustrations to bolster your point, but I encourage you to use some of your own. I am getting ahead of you myself on this. I'm talking about the actual paper that is due in week 10 by March 30th. But I want you to be aware of what you're going to be writing so that as you read this stuff, you know what you're looking for. We're really focusing in on the argument. We're moving away from summary and response and focusing in on developing an argument from what we read or an original argument, and then synthesizing or joining together several arguments to join the conversation. There is some material about how to set up a synthesis paper within the classroom if you want to look at that ahead of time. But for this week, just read with the end in mind and think like a writer. These are writers making decisions, and as you read like a writer. Think about the decisions they made as writers, the intentionalities that they put into their writing, and what are they doing that you might imitate as a writer or that you might think is even ineffective and you don't want to do, you want to avoid in your own writing. So read like a writer this week. Think towards the end, which is going to be an illustration essay where you use 2 or more sources only from these readings. And some of you have already been kind of talking research paper a little bit, and so I do want to do a little preview clear into March 31st through April 6th, and that's going to be when we kick off our research paper, which has to be either problem solving or persuasive, and the topic is open to you. So start thinking now what you might want to write about for that rather open-ended final paper. Yes, this week we are working towards the second to last paper in the course. Hard to believe, right? Have a great week. Hope your refreshment from spring break doesn't wear off too quickly. And as always, call if you have questions. Write if you have questions. You can call me if you really want to, but I'd write first. Okay, so discussion board and reading is the only thing you're doing for this week, but it leads into the paper, which is the second to last paper by next week.